Hey, good morning. This is Matt, and it's a beautiful May day, the month of Mary, here in Colorado. I just received some news that on the Diaconate application I filed that they suggested I wait. So that's looming kind of heavy in my head. I've been preparing the last couple of years to enter formation, and I think, I've just been processing it, but I think it's the right decision. Ultimately, I have 3 young kids at home, and I have a busy work schedule going on, and my wife just started a new job, and we're starting to build the school at the parish. Being on the parish or pastoral council has been a heavy task. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think, over the next couple years that formation would really be difficult to fit into the schedule there. So I think maybe through the application process, they saw that, and that was good. That was what needed to happen. So just processing that, and I think now it's a case of what's next. So I'm looking forward to maybe some spiritual direction to help me figure out kind of how the pieces fit together, what God's timing is, what God's plan is. There's a lot that has happened, as I learned through the application process that has led me to this point, and I'm trying to, pull the pieces all together and understand the narrative. And I think listening to Father Mike and the catechism in a year has been helpful. That's been my big spiritual focus this year. Every year or every season, I try to focus on something and build myself up spiritually, but I've been doing it mostly on my own, which is the difficulty. So I think getting some spiritual direction would help with that. But Father Mike said some things today that are really, convicting, really heavy, talking about purgatory and hell and the last days, the final judgment. I mean, that's heavy stuff. So I've just been listening to that and allowing it to kind of penetrate my heart and my mind and see how God's trying to speak to me through those passages in the catechism and through Father Mike Smith's words in his podcast, which, go check it out if you haven't yet. It's really good. But he talks about taking care of the little ones, those who are maybe spiritually poor or hungry. And I think, again, those are probably my children, and that's what the Diaconate panel was trying to speak to me about, which is now is the time to maybe focus on those little ones I have in my life that I see every day. I think there's a lot of good in focusing on them right now, and then there'll be time later on, as the deacons were saying, you're still pretty young, so I could enter formation 5 years from now and still be on the younger side for the Diaconate program. So there's still time, and God willing, I'll still be around and still be healthy enough to do it at that point. But if it's God's plan, then that's what He'll make happen. But going back to Father Mike Smith's words, I think I have a deep love for Jesus. I think I have a willingness to serve. I think maybe something I could cultivate more of is the fear of God. And that's something that, it doesn't necessarily come natural. You don't necessarily want to fear God like you want to think about the God of the New Testament, how He's all loving and, I'm your brother, and merciful and forgiving, and so you don't necessarily want to think about how also just, and that's something to also focus on, and fear, a healthy respect. And I think out of that fear, again, obviously that's one of the more powerful motivators in human life is fear. So just kind of allowing that to have an effect on your life, as it should, I think that's probably the next step, or that's something convicting that came out of Father Mike's talk today, was the healthy fear and respect, the remembering of death, that death is coming for everyone. And there was a meme that I posted that said, all you have to worry about is location. So where are you going to end up when you die? Some of us, all we can hope for is purgatory, but even that is the promise of salvation through purification. So that's okay too, but I just really want to focus on how I can be purified more on this earth, how I can let go more of some of these things I'm holding on to that are blocking me from having that perfect love for God, my fellow man, and for the weakest, the smallest of his creation, and let go of some of that pride and selfishness that kind of are blockages from opening myself up to God's grace more. So that's I think one of the things I'm going to focus on, again, spiritual direction, I think would help a lot, getting some other insights, so I'm not trying to just interpret all this for myself. But I guess making videos is also helpful, and if you guys are watching this and you have any feedback, obviously feel free to share. That would be great. But I think I'm in a good place. Still a little disappointed that the diaconate is not happening now, but it will in the future. And I know that God has a plan, and even if he leads me down a different path, it'll be the right path, as long as I'm really trying to listen. And that fear of God, I think, will help me to listen more and cultivate a deeper love for God. Strangely enough, I think it's what I need to motivate me to kind of just be more pious, and that's something else I want to focus on. From the fear of God comes piety, and then those things lead eventually to the gift of wisdom, and that's ultimately what I want to cultivate. If I want to be a member of the diaconate, I want to be able to help people and give my wisdom, or just listen. I don't know, but to do that, I need to empty myself more. So that's my reflection for today, and maybe some of that resonates with you too, if you're going through a difficult decision, or if you've recently had a kind of a change in plans that you're still trying to figure out what to do. We're in the same boat, so let's pray for each other. God bless.